Hello, we are students from the Interpretation of Natural and Cultural Heritage class. My name is Neshamah Stearns.
And I'm Molly Tebow.
In this video, we are going to be demonstrating how to safely set up an MSR whisper light stove, as well as demonstrate some repairs. The MSR whisper light is a camping stove. It is lightweight, compact, and easy to break down. These stoves are excellent candidates to use in the backcountry as well as in minimalist camping, and are most typically used in backpacking and canoeing expeditions, as well as in most backcountry camping.
Hi, my name is Neshamah Stearns. I'm a student at Union College, and I'm going to teach you how to set up a stove.
First, you need to make sure that you have the proper footwear, no open-toed shoes. Let's start with what you'll need. First, you'll want a fuel bottle with white gas, a lighter or matches, and open up your whisper light bag to bring out a fuel pump, the stove, and 2 wind guards. First, you want to make sure you put your ground protector down on a flat surface. Then, you want to undo the stove, sliding each of the stove legs into the divots. When uncapping the fuel, make sure that you insert the cap into the bag so that you don't lose track of it. Insert the pump, close tightly, line up the hole in the metal block with the fuel line and make sure they're flush. Secure the clasp. Pump 25 to 30 times to pressurize the fuel bottle. Open the valve from fuel bottle to stove with the red tab. Watch the white gas pool in the lower stove chamber. Turn off the valve and then light that lower chamber. Make sure you are always squatting and not sitting when you're dealing with the stove, and make sure that the bottle is between you and the stove. Let the orange flames die down. This is called priming the stove. After the yellow flames have gone out, repressurize the stove by pumping another 20 times. Open the valve, then relight the stove, but in the top chamber. You should be able to hear the stove roaring, adding pumps when needed, especially if you're low on fuel. This light is blue and harder to see. To turn off the stove, turn the valve off and blow the flame out to reduce carbon buildup. To pack the stove away, first make sure it's off. Next, fold up the windshield and place back in bag. Then, detach the fuel line from the fuel bottle. Remove fuel pump from bottle, place pump back in bag, and drain fuel from fuel line. Return cap to fuel bottle. Return the ground shield to the bag. Once the stove is no longer hot, fold the legs back in. Do not bend the fuel line as it must keep its shape to work properly. Tuck gently into the bag.
Hello, I'm Molly Tebow, and I'm going to tell you about stove repair.
Today we will be looking at the MSR whisper light. As you can see, this is the fuel line. Inside there is a wick that brings fuel from the fuel pump to the stove out of the bottle. Today, to do our maintenance, we will be using the MSR Expeditionary Service Kit, which costs $29.95. It includes everything you need for making stove repairs, including gaskets, multi-tools, pump cup oil, extra fuel filter, and instructions. When your stove is not working properly, start by removing the priming cup. Then take the fuel line out of its socket. Place the priming cup back on to prevent the legs from coming off. As you can see, carbon can build up in this fuel line. Use the multi-tool to unscrew the cap. Inside the cap, there is a small pinhole which you should be able to see light and allows the fuel to come into the stove. This is the shaker needle. As you can see on my hands, carbon can build up inside. Using the tool with 2 wires attached, insert it into the pinhole in the top. Try to scrape out as much of the carbon as you can. Make sure you place the shaker needle in correctly with the needle pointing towards the hole. Screw back in and tighten with the multi-tool. As you can see, the outside of the stove is very dirty with carbon. You can use white gas and a rag to clean this up. Using a screwdriver, you can take these plates off and clean them. Be sure to put them back in the correct alternating order.
You can also find carbon buildup will happen in the fuel line. To fix this, you just place the wick in the smallest hole and use that as leverage to pull the wick out.
As you can see, it gets much dirtier once it gets closer to the stove. You can use white gas and a rag as we talked about before, to clean the wick. By hooking up the fuel line to the fuel pump, as we did before in the video, you can use white gas to flush carbon out of the fuel line before placing the wick back in. As we are inside today, we will not be able to show any white gas methods. Place the wick back into the fuel line using the multi-tool if you have to. Then remove the priming cup and place the fuel line back into the stove, making sure that it enters the slot in the top. Place the priming cup back on and be sure not to bend the fuel line. If your stove will light and then goes out, then it's most likely a pressure problem. If you're low on fuel, it means you need to pump more, or there's a problem with your pump. For more information about Whisperlite stoves and the pump, please visit MSR website. It's very important to know what you're doing when in the backcountry because risk is inherent when using a Whisperlite stove, and the safety of yourself and the people around you is the top priority. Thank you for watching, and I hope you put this knowledge to good use. Happy cooking!